Well, welcome everyone to the March 22nd Oak Grove Community Council General Meeting. Special welcome to anyone who might be here for the first time. We're going to begin with some introductions. So I'm going to invite the board to introduce themselves, and I'll go ahead and start. My name is Valerie Chapman, and I live on Evergreen Street near the trolley trail, and am newly elected since last month as the chair. So we'll see if I get wobbly tonight. You'll give me maybe a little credit or, a little grace for the night. Anyway, okay. Rich.
Hi, Rich Nippon. I live 3 blocks due south of the Oak Grove Fred Meyers, and I was a board member previously and newly elected as secretary.
And Jane?
Thank you, Valerie. Jane Civiletti. I live on Fair Oaks Avenue, and I'm continuing on as the secretary.
Joseph.
Thank you, Valerie. Hi, I'm Joseph Edge. I live in the River Forest neighborhood, and I am a board member at large.
And our vice chair, Mark Elliott, is away. He's traveling, but will be with us again next month. So before we introduce all of the people who are here tonight, I just want to take a moment and see if there's anyone who is in the neighborhood, is here at a meeting for the first time. Any newcomers, okay. All right. Well, we would like to welcome you, especially give you a welcome to our meeting. And if you would like to become a voting member of the Oak Grove Community Council, which we would love to have, then this meeting would count as at least one meeting. I think, Ryan, you have been here before, but if you need 3 meetings within the calendar year to be a voting member. So if you have not been here before, and so we would not have your address, I would encourage you to, at this time, put your name and address in the chat box and send it to Jane Civiletti, and she will keep track so that we record that you have been present. So thank you. So let's just go around. As we introduce people, I invite you to let us know what neighborhood, where you live. You don't have to give an exact address, but where you are. So Stephen and Emily, why don't we start with you?
Hey there. We are Stephen and Emily Mackey. We live on Marion Street, just off of Oak Grove Boulevard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anna?
I'm Anita Blackmar. I live on Fair Oaks Avenue.
And Ryan?
I'm Ryan Stee. I live on Laurel Street, just north of Oak Grove Boulevard.
Okay, welcome. Gwen?
My name is Gwen. I live on Evergreen Street, close to the Mac station.
Sue?
Sue Conahan. I'm at the corner of Parkview Circle and River Road.
Okay. Troy? Is that Troy Kurth? You're muted. Did you? Troy, can you hear us? I'm not sure they can. Okay, well, we'll just take note that they're here. Bob?
I'm Bob Bohan, and I live on Laurie, just adjacent to Roosevelt.
Hey, welcome. Tom?
Tom and Jolene Hammond. We live on Viewcrest Drive.
Welcome. And Tom Hogan? You're muted, Tom.
I thought I unmuted. Okay. I'm Tom Hogan, and we live on Outfield Road between Concord and Thiessen. A house with a lamppost.
Right. Heidi's phone.
Yes, sorry, Heidi Bullock. I'm Oak Lodge Water Services Board member. I apologize, I'm by phone tonight, but I am technically in Jennings Lodge, but I am on the board, and so I'm here to participate and take notes from your council meetings. And also I just wanted to offer up that we just approved our wastewater master plan. And so if you want, we would be happy to come, or I'd be happy to come back next month and present on that.
Great, thank you. Wayne. Wayne?
Yeah, I hear you. My name's Wayne Potter. I live at Willamette View and I live on River Ridge Road.
Okay, welcome. Eleanor?
Yeah, hey there. Hi, everybody. Eleanor Hunter, Laurie Avenue, just south of Oak Grove Boulevard.
Ryan? Brian, would you?
Hi. Oh, good. My screen's back. Hi, I'm Brian Goodrich. I'm from the Oak Grove Fire Station at 2930 Oak Grove Boulevard, and I will have a short presentation for you on current events with the fire district, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. I'm not on duty tonight, so I will be here for the duration, and whenever I can fit in, will be great.
Right, welcome. Jean?
I'm Jean Coberly. I live at Rose Villa.
Welcome. Chris?
Hey everyone, Chris Simons, live on Whipple Avenue.
Welcome. Dave?
Dave Toback, I live at River at Rose Villa.
Welcome. Tori?
Hi, I'm Tori and I live on Whipple Avenue.
Welcome. And Tom?
Tom Civiletti, Fair Oaks at Oak Grove Boulevard.
Right. Well, welcome, everyone. Let's begin with our officer report. Rich?
Hi. The minutes were sent out to people. They're posted on the website. And unless anybody has any corrections that need to be made to the minutes, I'll move that we accept them.
Were there any corrections needed to be made? It looks like they are approved as they were sent out. Thank you, Rich. Jane, treasurer's report.
Thank you, Valerie. I would like to announce that we have had a donation since our last meeting of $100, and that brings our current treasury to $1,886.19. I also have an annual report from 2022, which I will maybe get it attached to the minutes for this meeting. As our activities were very much abbreviated over the last few years, we had only 3 checks to send out last year. One of them was for the host domain in the amount of $19.99. The other amount was $550. That was in 2 separate checks made out to the historic downtown Oak Grove group. One of them was for an assistance in putting on the Oak Grove Trolley Trail Festival last year, and another was for assistance for them to do the Trick or Trunk Halloween function that they had at the United Methodist Church. So the outgoing checks totaled $569.99. Our total donations and deposits during last year were $780, and that left us with a checking account balance of $1,736.19. That is the annual report for last year.
Thanks, Jane. I just want to offer a quick board meeting report. We didn't have enough board members present to have a quorum this month, but we began discussing different ways to reorganize our area so that we have committees that will help more people to become involved in our urban area. As a chair, I've been out in the neighborhood meeting with various leaders of different community groups and thinking about ways to better connect and communicate all the good work that goes on in our area. If you have a particular interest or concern for the Oak Grove Community Council area, for example, if you had concerns about, for example, traffic or transportation, housing, businesses, environmental issues, anything of that nature, then I would invite you to let me know. And I will give you an email address as to how you can contact me. That's Valerie.Chapman@oakgrovecpo.org. And we will put that in the newsletter that goes out, our follow-up news, in case people don't catch that. So it's just basically Valerie.Chapman@oakgrovecpo.org. So looking for people who are interested in being parts of various committees that have interest in our area. The board will be working to put interest groups together. So if people have concerns, and you do not have to be a voting member to join a committee. You just have to be part of the area or have some interest in the area to do that. So again, your ideas are important to us. We want to know what you're thinking, what you might like to hear about. And just before we get started, I'd like to make a note that we will make a statement about the Project Turnkey event, I guess I will call it, later on in the meeting, so that people are here and they have some concerns about that. We will bring that up. So with that, I would like for us to go to our regular meeting agenda. And so we have Stephen and Emily here from Daily Records, and we look forward to hearing you tell us about your business.
You want to start?
Go for it.
So we have lived in Oak Grove for about 10 years now, almost 10 years. We moved from Southeast Portland, and we just fell in love with the neighborhood and how the community is and how close everyone is. And we had always had aspirations of owning our own business. And when I was doing some research for a school project and found that vinyl sales were going through the roof. So I thought, what a great thing to do. I want to sell records. I've loved music all my life. I grew up listening to records. I grew up in Tower Records, buying records when I was a little kid. And it just seemed like a natural fit. And with my mind for business, or mind for records, music, and her head for business, we're a good partnership.
Yeah, I grew up, my family owned video stores growing up. So I definitely know what it's like to own a small business and what it takes to kind of have it family run. And yeah, so we've been here about 6 months, and one of our non-negotiables was being able to walk to work. And so we're just right next to the Oak Grove 8 Cinema, and really enjoying meeting new people every single day and seeing a love of vinyl come back for a lot of people, and be a new discovery for a lot of young people. So it's been really, really fun.
Yeah.
Good. So do you want to tell us exactly what the address of your business is and maybe your business hours?
Absolutely. The street address is 16074 Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard. We are suite number 2. In that, what is it, the Holly Farm shopping center. And we are open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and we're open on Sundays from 11 to 5, and only closed on Mondays.
Great.
Because we're going to force this one to take a day off.
Yeah, at least one day off.
Yeah.
Great. That's exciting to hear.
Yeah.
Anybody have a question for Steve or Emily?
One of the things that we really wanted to do is be a part of the community and try to give back as much as we can. And we've had some schools come in, Rex Putnam and Riverside, few acres. And that's for donations. And we really want to be a big part of that. We want to try to give back as much as we can. Because like I said, we really love Oak Grove and we're really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Anita, I see your hand is up and people, I don't know who put their hand up first, so I'm sorry, but Anita, go ahead.
So I assume you're open to people bringing in records? And
Yes.
is there a particular kind that you're really wishing for?
Well, I'm not sure what that is yet. You know, I haven't been doing this long enough. I know what we've sold, a lot of it is, you know, 80s and 70s rock. But when you can get some old jazz and things like that, people really love that too. So, but we accept everything.
We do. We've been getting lots of collections from, you know, people whose parents maybe passed along their collection to their kids and they don't have record players anymore, or they come in and so we also will either buy them or we will do trade. So some people want to kind of get rid of stuff they're not interested in anymore and get some new stuff. So we do that too.
Cool.
Yeah. Eleanor.
Well, now there's going to be a booth at the Oak Grove Festival, is there not?
Yes, there is. We actually had our first booth at last summer's festival. And that was our first, real introduction to the community. So that was fun.
It was really fun. Yeah, that was great. Well, make sure that you're on the shady side of the street as asked.
Thank you.
Got to keep those vinyl records cool.
Yeah,
really do.
I'd just like to mention in contacting Stephen and Emily, I had been in the shop a few times and they didn't mention, but if you do not have a means to play these vinyl records, they do sell equipment also.
We do. Thank you so much.
Yes, yeah.
We sell record players as well as a lot of vinyl accessories to protect your records.
Posters and t-shirts too.
Yes.
And coffee mugs. We got it all. If it's music, we got it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here tonight and sharing about your business. It sounds like something it would be fun to go visit your shop.
Yeah, come in, check it out.
Okay, and we want to invite you to be present as often as you can. We meet on the fourth Wednesday of every month. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to move on and encourage to Ryan Stee and Anita Blackmar, who are our area representative district Parks Advisory.
Hello. I'm going to share my screen here and then Anita and I are going to tag team a presentation for you. Bear with me, I'm always terrible at Zoom. Okay, welcome. Thank you for having us. We are representatives, and I'll introduce myself, and then Anita will introduce herself for the DAC, District Advisory Committee members for Sub-Area 2 of the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. My name is Ryan Stee. I'm one of 2 reps for our sub-area. Anita is the other rep. My background is actually, I'm a professional park and recreation planner, as well as have worked in for 27 years in all areas of parks and recreation in the services that Parks and Recreation departments provide. So I came onto the DAC with more of a background, practicing background. And Anita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Anita. Most of you have seen me here lately, and I live in Oak Grove, a short walk from many of you, and a short walk from River Villa Park, which is an absolute treasure in our area. It's got herons and eagles and an osprey nest every year, and it's nestled out of the way with greenery and water around it. And because of this park, that's why I wanted to be on the Parks District Advisory Committee.
Hey, I'm actually live in Oak Grove too. I'm on Laurel Street near the little downtown Oak Grove. To give you an idea of what we're going to talk about today, we just did our introductions, but we're going to talk about what is NCPRD, North Clackamas Parks and Rec District, give you an overview of how it was formed, where it's located, etc. Anita will then talk about what is the District Advisory Committee. We're going to give you a little history so that there's some context behind where we are today. Then we're going to talk about the differences in park service providers, Our district is actually the only model of this type of district in the state. I'm going to go over a few other service provider governing, like, I'm just going to go over the different types, okay? And then finally, we're going to talk about our DAC, the goals, the past year and a half, what we've accomplished, and where we're going to go to in the near future. Just so you know, I am, my term expires in 2024, wait, 23, 25, is it, Anita? Anita's expires June this year, and we're on.
Yeah, so you must be 25.
Yeah, so I expire in 2025. So keep your ears open because we want Anita to come back, but she hasn't promised me that. We will be looking for a sub area to sponsor. So give you a background of the district. North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District was formed in 1990 by grassroots efforts for the North County, the more urbanized area. Citizens felt like the area wasn't getting enough services around parks and recreation. When I mean services, I'm talking about the land, the maintenance, the programming, the social services. Services is everything that a parks and recreation district provides. So in 1990, it went out to vote. It passed by 53 to 47. The difference is at this district was, I'm going to say, Anita, I'm probably say this wrong. It was a special district under the county. And just remember that. I'll explain that later. It's a little complicated. But essentially the Board of County Commissioners would then also run this standalone district, okay? The funding was set at 54 cents per $1,000 assessed value. I'll give you, when we talk about all the other districts, I'll give you an example of what that looks like compared to other districts. It is one of the lowest funded districts in the state. I'll just put it that way. And then back in 2004, the county, a group of citizen advisory members and started the master planning process. And when you're a Parks and Recreation Department or district, there are state land use laws where you need to have a comprehensive plan. Master plan is another term for it, to guide your future development. These usually last about 10 to 15 years. We are actually starting in this next year, we are going to start what we're calling a system planning process, which is a little bit more holistic approach on parks and recreation services for the district. So keep your eyes open. I have some links at the end that you can write down and get news on that. Now we're going to talk about what is the DAC, and Anita has great information on that.
Well, the District Advisory Committee, or DAC, was formed about 2 years ago. And it's the body of resident volunteers that makes recommendations to NCPRD's governing board about parks and recreation matters. And the reason I got involved is that our unincorporated area doesn't have many parks. And there were a number of us in the community who thought, well, let's increase public involvement with NCPRD to see if we could get more parks developed. But of course, NCPRD isn't just parks. It's also recreation amenities and programs and social services such as Meals on Wheels and transportation for seniors and people with mobility limitations. And it's also entertainment and nature education events. In fact, there are a lot of dimensions to NCPRD that I didn't know about at all when I first got on the DAC. The DAC took the place of the former DAB, or District Advisory Board, and the name change was to eliminate the confusion of having two boards, a governing board and an advisory board. So it's more accurate to call it a committee. And like the CPO, the DAC votes are not binding. On the DAC, members interface with NCPRD to discuss and vote on master plans or systems plans, priorities, and park decisions, and then the resulting recommendations are made to the BCC. When NCPRD was formed, multiple volunteer parks boards were set up around the district in addition to the DAB. Over time, all the local parks boards dwindled away except for Milwaukee's, which is still going vibrantly. The DAB continued, but as time went on, its membership didn't reflect the different geographic population areas of the district. The DAB members from the unincorporated areas applied to the county and were chosen by the county. 2 years ago, when the population of the district reached about 100,000, with 80,000 in the unincorporated areas, plus 20,000 in the city of Milwaukee, the BCC agreed that a new DAC model proportional to geographic population areas could be set up. It's the same idea as tying Oregon State House districts or congressional districts to population areas, but without the gerrymandering. The other change was that residents in the unincorporated areas would now select their own representatives themselves rather than the county doing it. And that's how Ryan and I got on. With NCPRD's boundaries, 5 sub-areas, each with about 20,000 residents, were identified. It turns out that most of Oak Grove is in sub-area 2, but because Jennings Lodge is smaller in population than Oak Grove, some of Oak Grove is included with Jennings Lodge in sub-area 1. Each sub-area has 2 representatives, and there's also a representative for the community centers. The 2 sub-area representatives have dual commitments: to be a communication conduit between NCPRD and the residents of their sub-area, but also to be tuned into the needs of the whole district and advocate for all the residents of NCPRD. Because of this micro and macro focus, I've been learning about the serious lack of parks in the east, south, and southeast areas. When I read about the standards promoted by the Trust in Public Land and other organizations that are similar, the standard that everyone should have a park within walking distance, it was obvious that here in Oak Grove, we are still park deficient. But now I also know that off to the east and the south in NCPRD, there are even fewer parks than we have in Oak Grove. So that's why I'm looking forward to the district-wide needs assessment and updated systems plan that are on the horizon. The DAC members will be involved in these. So as I said, in the new DAC model, the residents of each unincorporated sub-area choose their own members. The terms are staggered and they last 4 years. 2 DAC spots will open soon, and 1 is in our sub-area of sub-area 2. My term is done at the end of June, and I'm not running again because I feel I could do better work being on fewer committees. So I urge all of you, seriously, who live in sub-area 2, to consider applying in May to become a DAC member. On the NCPRD website, there's an interactive map where you can put in your address to find out whether you live in sub-area 2 or sub-area 1. And we'll post the link for that later on in the PowerPoint or in the chat. DAC meetings are once a month on the 2nd Wednesday evening of the month. The kinds of things you would do as a DAC member include outreach with neighbors and other local residents, such as members of the OGCC or HDOG, to get input and also report on NCPRD news and issues. You can help determine district priorities related to recreation and parks, and also events and services. You would look over budgets, help update the systems plan and the capital projects list, as you consider what's missing or what needs to be improved in the district. You also get to weigh in on details, such as whether we have a smoking ban in our parks, or what our current pest management program practices are, or what multicultural events you would like to see in the community, or whether a park or amenity could be named to reflect the indigenous culture of the area where it's located. So the upcoming selection process for representatives will involve a pair of public meetings in May and June. In the past, they've been Zoom meetings, but this year they're likely to be in person at the Concord property and probably some other NCPRD site. And we'll get the details to you closer to the time.
Okay, so thank you, Anita. Now we're going to talk about NCPRD and other types of service providers for Parks and Recreation services. So there's a lot of different providers. The typical one you see is a municipality, a city. I actually work for the city of Hillsborough, and we have our own Parks and Recreation department that is funded through general fund dollars, and also has a levy that was paired with police and fire. So we have some specific funding set aside for maintenance through alternate routes. Typically, a city would just have it use their general fund, and then also, as you know, in our area, we have what we call system development charges. When somebody goes to build a new structure, a new facility, there is a system development charge around, I think it's $2,600 per unit for single family, that then would go to creating additional capacity within the Parks and Recreation system. That's pretty standard among all agencies in Oregon. There's also the next level, which is county parks. County parks tend to not have as many recreational services and programs that you can sign up for. They have larger parks that are further out into more of the hinterland. You also know the State Park and Recreation Department. Those are our large emeralds of our state. I believe there's over, I'm not even gonna say because I forgot the actual number. They have standalone facilities and provide trails, outdoor recreation, etc. And then you have the state and federal, or the federal, which has Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, a bunch of different entities that provide these recreational spaces. One more, that is what North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District is, there's special districts. And that's where an area incorporates as a special district primarily for just parks and recreation. Back in 1990, we voted, the area voted to become what they call a 451 district. And you'll probably hear this in the near future or have heard it. It's a little bit of a hot button topic that's starting to come up around governance of the Parks and Rec district. When forming a 451 special district, that is NCPRD is governed by the Board of County Commissioners. And that is across the whole county. Our district is not the whole county. There isn't a desire to switch to a 266 district, which is then governed by people that live within the district through elections and focusing only on the Parks and Recreation piece. Our Board of County Commissioners in Clackamas County have 47 different hats. Parks and Recreation is one of them, and I think we have one Board of County Commissioners that lives in our district. So you're probably going to hear that coming up in the near future. That's the difference between the special districts. I do want to point out, how many of you have been to the city of Bend and been to some of the wonderful parks there? You can just nod. Yes. Okay. So Bend Parks and Rec District is a 266 district. It has a elected board. They actually, remember I told you that our district is 54 cents per thousand assessed. Bend Parks and Recreation District, which is similar in size, has $1.46 per thousand assessed value. So, and also you have to think about the fact that the property values in that area are in many areas significantly higher than what we have here in our district. So that is where their funding comes from. And they also have a lot of bonds out. So that just gives you kind of an apples to apples look, well, almost apples to Tarangelos, something like that. Look at the funding of our district. Again, I did mention the North Clackamas Parks and Rec District is the lowest funded entity in the state when it comes to parks and recreation. Let me see what else. There's also discussion about, I'm sure you've heard about Milwaukee withdrawing from the district. I'm gonna just put this out there now, that those are discussions. There are no official discussions about official plans for Milwaukee to leave the district. The two entities, the leadership, are discussing that. There hasn't been any information really released about that. So if you are hearing things on the street, probably hearsay. I just keep your ears open for when the district or city release information, but we are still working together as a full North Clackamas Parks and Rec district and focusing on priorities. Was that good, Anita? Do you want me to move on?
Sure,
Okay.
that's great. Thank you.
So one more piece, we'll just give you an overview. We've been a fully formed district advisory committee from the previous version for 2 years, almost 2 years now. And we formed in fiscal year of 2021, so June of 2021. Our first year and a half accomplishments, I'd love Anita to go over those with you. Really, our first year was figuring out our footing and trying to understand what this new advisory committee, what we were going to focus on. We did have some great victories with the district. We are there to support the district. So Anita, could you name off a couple of those accomplishments?
Well, one that comes to mind is that at one point NCPRD was planning to sell a property that's in the southeast part of the district to help pay for the Concord project. But the residents there got together with their DAC members to advocate for keeping the property and developing it into a park, because there's a serious lack of parks there. So DAC members and community members teamed up and kept bringing this up at meetings, and lo and behold, now that property will not be sold and it's added to the interim capital projects list. So I think that was a really important success story. And then Ryan and I and one other member went to look at the field at New Urban High School early on, and HDOG leadership and I have repeatedly brought it up with NCPRD to revive a plan that was in the works a while ago and then got set aside, to see about making an agreement with the school district to consider making a park on the trolley trail there at New Urban High School. So it's also on the capital projects list and feels like another accomplishment. And then in sub area 1, community members and DAC members there have been working to keep the Jennings Lodge School Park project on NCPRD's radar. And they've also worked hard to reopen the process of park naming, to complete a park naming process that would really involve the community for the park at the Boardman Wetlands, and that was completed. And then the public can also write directly to the DAC at any time with ideas and concerns, and we'll put that address in the chat or in the PowerPoint later on. But there's a form on the website if you wanted to propose a project directly to NCPRD. You go on the website, and on the financial pull-down menu, there's a form where you can propose something that you want done. And what's happened recently is somebody proposed an automatic gate at Rivervilla Park, and other people proposed completing a walking path at another park. So those are just examples of things that you could do. So
we also have been focusing on reviewing budget for the district, and I just had another one that I completely slipped out of my mind. But reviewing budget was a big one, and I'll tell you, I'll remember probably as soon as I finish. We're currently so around December, the DAC, multiple members of the DAC requested that we start goal setting. Typically boards like this or advisory boards like this would have an annual goal setting session to kind of help focus the group on some common areas that we'd like to see accomplished. This is our first goal setting session. We typically would do a day-long retreat. That's a little hard for our group because we're all kind of, I still work and a lot of other people are working and have other commitments. So what we did is we broke it down into 3 sessions, and the first session we met with, oh my gosh, what is it? I'm gonna goof this up, Anita. It's
someone from PGA, I think, Aaron, facilitator.
Public Government Affairs.
Yeah.
PGA, not the golf. PGA, Public Government Affairs. Erin, she started facilitating. Thank you, Anita. And the first round was really homework and talking about thinking big. Our second round, we just completed last month, and that was just throwing out big ideas. A couple of the really cool ideas was ample funding was one of the first things that came out. Talking about more sports sites, dog parks, more events. We have some really cool events in our district. Finding more natural areas and green spaces. Thinking about climate mitigation and habitat support. Including equity, diversity, and inclusion, which our system plan is going to have a fairly large element of that built within it. And then more connected parks, green connections to other parks like the trolley trail, for instance. And it was really our dreaming session. The next session is breaking down on what are the main projects we're going to focus on as a board, and in the future we're going to start bringing in the community to help us with that, but this is our first chance at setting our goals and really focusing our attention. And then the governance, the district is definitely looking, wait, should I say definitely looking, Anita?
Yeah, because we have a consultant hired on to look at
Okay, good. We're definitely looking to change the governance from a I always goof this up, 451 to a 266, so that we could have members from our community leading the district and making decisions about what resources are spent within our district. Right now we have one board of county commissioners, like I said, that is in our district. This also makes the district much more nimble and quick to respond to changes in economy, changes in projects, and it gives us more of a localized control of our district. So they are looking into that governance change. And then I think that's all the update. Are there any questions we could answer? I think Eleanor raised her hand, and then Eleanor, then Rich.
One of the questions I have, we use the word park, right? And parks, some of them are ball fields, some of them are natural areas, some of them are playgrounds. So sometimes when somebody says, oh, we're going to get a new park, I have a vision of what that means. And sometimes it's a really different vision, so I just wonder, is there a way to help define them in a different way or something? So we're more on the same page when we talk about a park. So
yeah, so okay, so this is something I work on with my own agency and previous agencies. Everything is a park. It's what kind of park is it? Is it a natural park? Is it a developed park? Is it a recreational park such as sports? And that's what the system plan will need to figure out, is how do we classify these facilities? Classifying the facilities also opens you up to grant opportunities. So natural parks or preserves, we typically don't do preserves in agencies and districts very often, but that opens you up to different buckets of funding on the federal and state level. So that's something that would have to be determined within the system planning process.
right. And to make sure that different types of park users are involved, because in the past, and I'm not trying to badmouth anybody, but there's been like really strong lobbying for ball fields, say, so it's like, oh, there's ball fields. And it's like, but wait a minute, what about people who just want a natural park? So there's sort of that balance, because there is such a shortage of parks here, which is really, so it's just.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's so our job, my job, I look at as being on the DAC is to advocate for the voices that aren't heard. I actually work in I work with marginalized communities in the city I work for, and I'm one of the diversity, equity, inclusion reps, and we are designing our entire system around equity. So it's making sure that we amplify all voices and not just the squeaky wheel. We are going to rely on everybody to get out to the community and get involved. The people that don't get involved are the ones that we really need to hear from.
Right.
Because they typically maybe don't have time or the resources. And for instance, where I work, we're going out to socioeconomically depressed community groups to see, well, what can we do as a Parks and Recreation department to help you to enjoy these spaces that you're actually paying for. So no, I totally get what you're saying. And the system planning process, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for public engagement. I'm sure some of us DAC members will be on that advisory committee as well. So there's also the link. Okay, so I tried to look for specific links. It's a little funky on the website, but if you go to that first link, actually that first link you can find where you can get updates. Please put your name in there and your email address. The second link is where you go to the district advisory committee. I will send this out to Valerie. I'll send it out to one of you, the presentation in PDF. Rich, you had a question?
Yes, it's sort of a two-part question, somewhat connected. I've long thought that people think of recreation and parks being mostly parks and recreation as being something different than I'm interested in. I'm interested in community theater. And that leads me to the second part, which is what is the plans or the, what kind of dates and things on the Concord School project, which may or may not have something to do with having a theater space.
And Anita might know more about this. I do believe that they are keeping the stage, and the intent is to keep the stage so we have a performance space. Before I turn over to Anita, am I going to throw you under the bus, Anita? Okay. Like, oh, Anita knows. No, the other thing is,
I'm cool with that.
Rich, it's really important that you do participate in our upcoming system plan, even if it's taking an online survey, because a lot of parks and recreation departments don't realize that there aren't arts and theater venues like our district. We have a lot of opportunity to expand the types of services that our community gets to connect to. And arts and culture are a very important part of parks and recreation. It really is the intertwined cultural fabric of our community. Was somebody speaking?
I think you're but I have up at the NCPRD.
Rich, are you stuck? Anita, did you want to comment on the theater?
A couple things. I think that one of the best things a person can do, whether it's about theater or any aspect of Parks and Rec that you're interested in, is to keep bringing it up, to keep saying it. Those victories that were mentioned earlier didn't come from a person mentioning it one time. You have to keep saying it. You have to be persistent, I guess I should say. And so that's what I would recommend, Rich, you and the other people that you're connected to keep bringing it up with DAC members and also directly with NCPRD. And I think that it's very hopeful that it'll work out at Concord, because there is going to be a big community center there. I know that at the, there's been a tiny bit of theater from the, what's the name of the theater group again? The New Century Players at the community center in North Clackamas Park. But I think if we keep bringing it up and we want it in the community center at Concord as well, they're talking about an outdoor amphitheater of some sort there, as well as the stage inside. So of course, that's a different thing, doing it outdoors, because then managing all the props and whatever is complicated. But I just say, get as many voices as you can together and keep talking about it.
And participate in those surveys. And also there's a lot of opportunities to think outside the box. And where do we have performance spaces? Are they in, there's several areas that have just a concrete slab. Maybe this could be a small investment to create a performance space for smaller plays and things like that. So there's a lot of creativity that we're looking for. Eleanor, did you have another question?
I did. I do have another question. I wanted to let Rich or anybody else chime in. I would love to understand more about the difference. I think it was from going from a 266 to a 541, or maybe it's from a 541 to a 266.
Yeah.
I was involved recently or a couple years back with the Yes for Parks measure, and that idea of how to get it up from 54 cents a thousand, because really part of the issue for parks and any kind of service level is what it's funded at. And so those two pieces is what's the funding rate and what are the logistics in having that change. And the other one is having a separate parks board dedicated just to parks things. As you said, the Board of County Commissioners for the county were like 47 different hats, and it's a huge amount of work, and they do the job that they do. But again, to have a group from the area dedicated to this area that can help really satisfy some of the resident desires and needs more effectively. And again, if you could just talk more about that, of how people can get involved to help make that change happen for our
Yeah,
parks.
I'm just gonna go over it real quick one more time.
Great.
So we're
Thanks.
currently a district, Oregon District 451. That is under the Clackamas County Board of County Commissioners. They act as the board of directors. They meet every quarter. That's 4 times a year. Switching to an Oregon 266 with the governing board made up of elected residents versus an elected county commissioners, we could then be, it doesn't really do with the funding piece, it does with the governance piece. That gives all of us the opportunity to serve on the board in the district. It gives us the opportunity to have more than a meeting every quarter. It gives us the ability to determine where our dollars are spent and how they're spent and what grants we go after, as well as, I just had another brilliant thought that always slips my mind at this time of night. So that's the governance piece. And then
what has to happen? What has to happen to shift it to a 266?
Yeah, so right now, that's why signing up for updates is really, really important. This is being discussed at the leadership level, and they're figuring out how to do that. And we're also trying to find out if community members have the appetite to vote for that, because it would more than likely have to go to vote. And they're not sure. And voting is all a timing thing too. I mean, it could go out to vote in, May, is it? But that's too soon because there's no information. So there has to be a campaign built, and the leadership within the district is working on that. And it's actually county leadership and district leadership. It's not just one. So they have to go through all this stuff. They're going to start putting out, they're figuring out what that campaign looks like. And I do believe they hired people for that. I'm probably wrong.
Well, I know there's a consultant involved.
Yeah,
so.
thank you. Anita keeps saving me. So signing up for updates is really important. We can continue to come back and keep you up to date on that. And then, spread the word out. We all have our groups, our community groups that we are part of, and getting the word out to your different community groups is important as well.
Great, thanks. And if you want to stop sharing screen, then we can look at each other.
Oh, sorry. No, I really like the question. I'm just kidding.
No, it's really helpful because at the time, the governance and the funding had to be linked together. So I'm really thrilled to hear that there's a way to separate those two things and be able to make decisions and changes in them as separate entities. So
and they're trying to figure out all those details because it isn't that.
No, it's complicated, but to be able to separate them is a huge step forward. So I'm really thrilled to hear that.
I believe right now we can't really go more than 54 cents per thousand under the current, and that's been set since 1990. We know there's inflation. We know there's a lot of things, and we're stuck at that
for now. So, okay, thanks.
Are there any other questions for Ryan or Anita? Well, I want to thank you both for being here for a wonderful presentation. And we'll make sure that those links also go out in our follow-up newsletter to people. I might also suggest that this is the kind of thing, if people were interested in moving like from a 451 to a 266, and we wanted a committee within our Oak Grove Community Council to be thinking about that, that this would be that's the kind of thing that we're thinking about, so that we can funnel people into doing some of that work. And then maybe they would want to come to the council and suggest that the community council support it. So those kind of things can happen. So thank you again for being here. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I just want to put out there, advocacy is so powerful. We want to, Anita and I joined the board to be advocates for our district and our community. We want to do a positive approach on everything. So we're looking for partners in crime for advocacy. And so we're here to spread that word, and we can continue to come back. I love the idea of y'all setting up a subcommittee to advocate for it. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. So let's move on. Joseph, is there a LUART presentation tonight?
There will not be a presentation. I can give a brief update of activities we've had. We've been notified of 2 applications in the last 2 days, and that hasn't provided us very much opportunity to draft a presentation. But in any event, I can give you some information about those. And so 2 days ago, we were notified that a partition, a 2-lot partition at 15152 Southeast Fair Oaks Avenue was approved. And so that's essentially just dividing that lot in half. And so that was approved. And again, I don't have any graphics to share on these right now. The other one that we were notified of yesterday is a new application for a 3-lot partition for a site located at 1404 Southeast River Forest Road. And so hopefully we can put together some presentation for this next time, and show you guys what's what was approved on Fair Oaks, as well as what's being proposed on River Forest Road.
Sorry, Joseph, what was the address again on River Forest Road? Just
1404 Southeast
140.
River Forest Road. So that's closer to River Road at kind of the south end.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. And so those are pretty straightforward land divisions. And so there maybe isn't very much that would be for us to comment on anyway, but we'll definitely put together some graphics so you can see where those are and get some context next time.
Thanks, Joseph. Brian, would you like to give us an update from the Clackamas Fire?
Yes, I would love to. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. The information I have to share, I'll read from, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions on the fire district. I do have a pretty big point that I'd like to share tonight. First off, the fire district had a total monthly call volume of 2,329 incidents in the month of January. The district is closely tracking those incidents and the types throughout the year and identifying trends or significant changes from years before. Sandy and Clackamas Fire Boards voted at their February board meeting to move forward with the Clackamas Fire providing a full contract for service to Sandy Fire beginning in July 2023. For the month of March, the fire district's safety focus is bike helmet awareness and fall prevention. Feel free to use all or some of these details when sharing. Basically, we're looking at if you're riding a bike, wear a helmet. If your kids are going to go out and enjoy activities, provide them with a helmet. It really makes a difference. We also want you to check your homes for safety and security with fall protection, such as cords, area rugs, or excess storage that might not be in the best place to maneuver around in your home. Specific areas are stairways, and also reminding you to use non-slip rugs and mats at doorways and entrances. DEQ is scheduled to reopen backyard burning. Some of you have noticed that it started on March 1st. If you do have any issues with smoke, or if someone's burning something that you don't think is a natural thing to burn, you can call DEQ. If you're unable to get to that number, or if you have any questions about burning information, you can call 503-742-2945. And that's a updated burning information phone line that you can call and hear a pre-recorded message each day through the burning season. The biggest information I wanted to share tonight is that the fire district is going for a levy. This will be voted on May 16th. This will go towards funding firefighting positions and improving emergency service and wildfire response. We have a lot of information on our website. With that, we would love to provide you with any information in addition. So if there are questions specific to the levy funding, in short detail, we're looking for 52 cents per thousand. That would go towards funding 62 full-time firefighting positions over the life of the levy. And that would basically increase staffing specific to Oak Grove. It would add another firefighter at the fire station on Oak Grove Boulevard, as well as the fire station in Milwaukee. So it increases the firefighting force that would show up on the initial response by quite a few people, which would help us be more efficient. During the month of April, the fire district will be hosting 4 open houses at different fire stations throughout the fire district to encourage the community and share info on our levy. On April 8th, we'll be hosting a meeting at the fire station on Oak Grove Boulevard at 10 a.m. There is a community room that is available for anyone that would like to have a meeting. You can also go to clackamusfire.com to try and schedule a meeting for any neighborhood group that would like to meet there. But the meeting about the levy will be on April 8th at 10 a.m. There will be another meeting in Happy Valley at the Fire Station 6 on April 15th, in Oregon City at Fire Station 15 on April 22nd, and then in Damascus at Station 19 on April 29th. And so if there are any questions about the levy and how it will improve the fire response to your home, you can go to Clackamas Fire, or I am also happy to answer any initial questions that you might have here. It looks like my video is going bad, but hopefully you can still hear me.
We can hear you fine.
Are there any questions about anything that I just informed you on, or is there anything that you might have specifically about the fire department or ambulances or anything else that I might be able to answer for you?
I see that Bob Bohannon had a question. Go ahead, Bob.
I just had a question on the increase in firefighters for the Milwaukee and the Oak Grove station. What is the plan? Is that, are you going to go back to a 4-person engine, or what's the thought on that?
That is what I've been told, is that the fire engine would add another person specifically at Oak Grove and Milwaukee, which would increase both fire engines to 4-person staffing. There is an OSHA and NFPA compliance regulation that requires us to have 2 people outside or more for every person that we have inside the home. And so basically what that means to you is that the first fire engine that shows up can go into the home right away with 1 more person on that apparatus. And so the basic term is 2 in, 2 out. And so with an extra person on that fire engine, we'll be able to put somebody on the inside right away, regardless if we think someone's inside the home or not. That is the specifics for right now. We have 3 people on the fire engine. If we think or have verified information that someone's inside the home, we'll go inside. But what this does basically is if we don't know if someone's inside the home or not, we'll still be able to go in. So it does have a significant increase on your overall safety. If we think someone's inside the home, we'll definitely go after it. If we don't know, we might have to wait for the next fire engine to get there to get the right amount of people there for OSHA and NIOSH and all the other regulations that we're held under. And so this would increase the staffing specific to this location. It would also increase staffing in the rural areas within Clackamas County, within the fire district that we serve, which is 235 square miles. And so it would open up full-time staffing in the areas of Logan as well as Clark's, which Logan is pretty much in between Carver and Redland. And then Clark's is just south of Beaver Creek in between Molalla. And so the thing that I want you to think about is the wildfires as well as bigger major events like earthquakes and natural disasters, where this would increase our full-time staffing by 12 people per day. And so with 12 more people able to help, that's just more people in the county we're able to serve during an emergent time, as well as your time. So when we go on one call, if there's more people to go on the next call, that makes a difference as well. And so overall, that's kind of, Bob, that was a great question. I really appreciate you asking, and hopefully that covered it more, as well as a little additional information.
Thank you.
Are there other questions for Brian while he's here? Well, thank you for being here, for your thorough presentation tonight, and for letting us know about the levy and the levy meetings that are coming up. And we'll try to get some of that information into our follow-up newsletter. So
I'm happy to send that to you. And then sorry I wasn't here last month, but I'll be happy to be here next month too.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate your presence. So at this point, I'd like to just take a moment. Most people are aware that last month in February, the Board of County Commissioners voted 3-2 to approve the purchase of the Quality Inn out on 92nd Avenue off Sunnyside, to begin working with Project Turnkey and turn that the Quality Inn into transitional housing. In a very surprise emergency meeting this very morning, Chair Smith reversed her vote from the 3-2 February, and that meant it switched 3-2 against, and that they will no longer be purchasing the Quality Inn. In the media statement that was put out from Clackamas County, it also said that it makes the case that the county will not be working with the Project Turnkey model, that they will be pivoting away from that in order to do what is being called a community-led solutions for homelessness in Clackamas County, which means starting kind of all over again at square one. For people who are interested in responding or have been advocates for housing, we encourage you, there will be a county, a board meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, and there will be many people going. They would like to understand Chair Smith's decision to reverse her vote, and which changed the whole dynamic. You may also write letters to BCC at clackamas.us. That's their regular address to go ahead and contact them. I will say the meeting, that emergency meeting, is online, and I did have the opportunity to watch that today. People will note that Commissioner Paul Savas, who is the commissioner that lives in the Oak Grove Community Council area, was not present. I did have communication with Commissioner Savas. He has been homesick. And what he told me was that he was surprised at the sudden meeting and the change of direction. So that's about as much as we know about that right now, but it is it's a 180-degree turn. As there, Eleanor, go ahead.
I had no idea that an elected official can change their vote after the fact. I mean, this vote took place a while ago. So I had no idea, that could be done. I thought once you voted, then the wheels for that motion, for that effect are in motion. The other thing is, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Valerie, but my understanding was Project Turnkey was not using any funds from the county, that was all federal and other funding. And my concern is that the county would lose that money.
I think that's
in the way the county has done in the past. So yes, I hope everybody can show up or at least send an email, because it really makes a difference to inundate the BCC with that information. It makes a huge difference. Bodies sometimes really make the difference. Thanks.
Anita?
I agree. Bodies really make a difference. If you can go to the Thursday meeting tomorrow morning and be there by 10, that would really be good. And if you wear green, then it's a signal that we are standing together for this Project Turnkey. And I also agree that the idea of giving up the funding that wasn't even going to come from the general fund it just seems like such a shame.
And I would encourage people to go online and listen to the meeting, as difficult as it might be to listen to. I think it's helpful to try to understand where Chair Smith was coming from, and other Commissioner Scholl speaking. And I guess I have a long history of my own of working with a houseless community with a church community, and they were talking at the meeting about moving away from what's called the housing first model and going back to treatment first. And they were talking about treatment first as if that's a new idea. And I just want you to know that for years, treatment first was the model that was used, and it didn't work. And housing first was a step up. People have a very hard time remaining in treatment when they don't have housing. So it's important that people speak up. Anyone else before we move to community reports? Okay. Joseph, would you report from the community sounding board?
Thanks, Valerie. Yeah, so as you may or may not know, I believe we've brought this up and we've certainly sent emails out about it. The Oregon Department of Transportation, ODOT, which is responsible for McLaughlin Boulevard, has started a project called the McLaughlin Boulevard Investment Strategies, and they have appointed members of the public to a community sounding board. And right now, we are kind of midway through the process, and they have sent out or they published an online open house. And so we're going to share that link here in the chat. We're also going to send out a follow-up email to let everybody know how to view the online open house and respond to it. what they're asking us to do is there's a variety of different types of projects that, smaller scale projects that are focused on, pedestrian and bicycle and transit improvements that may be able to be funded. And so they're asking us to prioritize those. And so there's different examples of project types are, for example, pedestrian crossing improvements, such as the rapid rectangular flashing beacons that we've seen installed at some intersections that are very effective at slowing and stopping traffic for people that need to cross the highway. They're also looking at ways to improve transit flow, the flow of buses through the corridor, as well as sidewalk infill in places along McLaughlin where sidewalks are missing, including a couple stretches in our area and a stretch down in the Jennings Lodge CPO just south of Glen Echo. They're looking at bicycle facility improvements as well as speed management treatments. Is another one. There's been a lot of consistency among the community sounding board about slowing traffic on McLaughlin. This is a great opportunity to advocate for that, I believe. And one of the first times it's really felt like ODOT has been receptive to that messaging from the public, particularly along McLaughlin Boulevard. And they're also looking at pedestrian safety improvements at signalized intersections, which is another one that you might not think of too much, but even our existing signalized intersections can be designed very, very dangerously for people walking or biking. So, and then there's also 2 location-specific intersection improvements that they're looking at Jennings Avenue, where the trolley trail crosses McLaughlin is one place, and then also where the lane where everyone's kind of funneled, everyone walking or biking is funneled onto the sidewalks of the Clackamas River Bridge to get down into between Gladstone and Oregon City is another place where they're looking at location-specific improvements. So we'll send out the links. And I encourage you to check it out and let us know what you think, because Valerie and I are both appointed to the Community Sounding Board. Thelma is also appointed, as well as Ed Gronke from Jennings Lodge. So if you happen to be able to communicate with any of us and want to share your opinions with us, you certainly should feel free to do so. Also, definitely check out this link and fill out the survey for the online open house. I have 2 other walking, biking related updates, Valerie, if I may continue.
Yes.
So the other thing that's going on right now, like I said, that was for the Oregon Department of Transportation, and that's focused on McLaughlin Boulevard. The county is doing its first update in over 20 years of its pedestrian and bicycle master plan, which they're calling the Walk Bike Clackamas Plan. And we're kind of, again, midway through that as well. There's a few more meetings coming up, and we're going to try to get in one of the transportation planners to, present to you where that's going. We think that that'd be, it's a really big plan, and there's a lot of really cool concepts there, including the idea of having slower shared streets where it's really encouraged for people walking and biking, to use the street where there are no sidewalks, and for traffic to, share that space and go slow, and so we're looking at diversion and reduced speed limit, and a lot of those potential shared streets are in Oak Grove. So this is an important one for us to keep track of, and we'll keep providing updates. And like I said, we're going to try to get in a presenter on this. The other thing is just kind of a general reminder that I'm also appointed to the Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee for the county, and we every month we report to them what are called hotspots or pinch points, and that is where any area, any specific location that is exceptionally dangerous or feels exceptionally dangerous when you're walking or biking, let me know. Send an email to contact@oakgrovecpo.org and let us know where it feels unsafe to be walking or biking in the community, and we'll take a look at it with the county transportation staff and see what we can do about it. Thanks, Valerie.
Thanks, Joseph. And just another reminder, sounds like a perfect topic for a committee that was be interested in traffic and the idea of slower streets. So if that's something that appeals to you, keep that in mind. Rich, you have a list of committees to report from.
I do. The first would be the CERT. They met last month, practiced the GMRS radio communication skills. And April 8th is the next team meeting. And it's going to be a joint exercise with Milwaukee CERT for planning purposes. Also, please note the ability to sign up for emergencies communications on the county website, and a link is on our webpage as well that you can do that. The next thing to report on is CCA, which is Community Concerned Citizens. They're planning a community leaders meeting with the commissioners. Community leaders is open to anybody, as are CCI meetings, but it's supposed to happen at least once a year, and it doesn't always happen. So we're trying to get a date with the county commissioners to meet, to bring things to them that we think they need to know about, and for them to tell us things that we need to disseminate to everybody else. One of the big things that we're requesting from the CCI is an increase in the money supplied by the county commissioners to the CPOs. You heard our budget. The money that we donated to HDOG was money that we've raised in various ways. The cost of mailing things, the cost of having a website, things like that need to be covered. As we move to less all online and start having meetings at places, there are going to be more expenses, and the monies that the Board of County Commissioners gives the CPOs hasn't changed in decades. So it's way out of date. So there is an official request coming in. Defining that community participation is required by the county with an eye toward expecting adherence to the county's framework is adopted. The county has adopted language that specifies that there should be communication channels between citizens and the county, and the CCI is where that's supposed to come through, and the CPOs are supposed to channel it up to the CCI. It hasn't been real effective, and part of the things that we talk about is the county being very large and we being a small representation, but a large membership. Where the urban area, most of the county is rural. And basically lack of compliance is noted on the county's part. The CPO Summit, which is a meeting of CPO members from various CPOs in the county, which is sort of an ad hoc, not official meeting, is meeting again next week. And I've reported in the past on what their basic things are. And the last thing that I represent is the Emergency Preparedness Council. And they're busy creating guidelines and handouts for the county residents and disaster management to use. There are openings on the board if anyone is interested in attending meetings. They meet quarterly. There are 5 different subcommittees, and the subcommittees meet once or twice a month at the most. So if you're interested, you can write to us at the county, at the CPO here, or you can go to our website and find a place where you can find it. And that's my reports.
Thanks, Rich. So do we have a report from the library? There must be some report from the library. Seems like something important happened with the library.
Another green light happened with the library. It's been fabulous. The things are falling into place for this elusive Oak Lodge Library that will be at the Concord property. But yes, there was an issue about whether the library would be able to purchase the land that it will be sitting on, or whether that land would remain owned by NCPRD. And a bunch of us showed up and advocated for the library to be able to purchase the land, and the BCC, as the directors of the library district, agreed unanimously. So that was another green light for the library. So it's looking pretty good, and groundbreaking might be in October.
Great. Thanks so much. Do we have other announcements? Are there any comments from community members or issues that you'd like to throw out for us to be thinking about at this time? Okay, and I encourage you, if you are interested in committee work, to get in touch, and we'll make sure that you have those emails. Anita?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that if you want something to happen with NCPRD, just get a lot of voices and say it frequently. The number of people they hear from is really important, and how often they hear from you.
And also having new people say stuff when they see the same handful of
Yes.
people. It's like, oh, you guys are getting,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, wait, there's these new people. It really
Oh, yeah.
makes a difference.
Yeah, variety is good.
All right. Well, thank you. Rich, did you have your hand up? You're muted. Rich, you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought I'd remind everybody that we have an opening on the Oak Grove Community Council Board, and we would welcome anybody's interest in participating. The bylaws are on our website, and you can see what it is that you need to be basically a resident or have a business in the area. And we would welcome more people to attend the board meeting to help set the direction. Valerie is newly elected as president, but she's been at this for many years. And she, I'm sure, welcomes everybody's information. Thank you.
Thank you. That was going to be the next thing to mention. And there are 2 openings. You do need to be a voting member. But if you have interest, and again, committees might be a way to get more people interested. You might have people in your neighborhood that can't make it on a Wednesday night, but they would like to be involved. So our next meeting, next board meeting will be on this coming Monday, April the 3rd. And our next general meeting will be April 26th. At the April 26th meeting, we will have a representative from TriMet coming with the first announcement about the expansion of the parking garage at Park Avenue. So if that's something of interest to you, or if you know people that would be interested in knowing anything about that plan, please come. We will also have Officer Sarah McClurk from the Sheriff's Office coming to do a report about what's going on with policing kind of issues in our area. So and then in May, this is just to let you know what's happening in May, that we will have a representative from the National Alliance for Mental Illness. NAMI will be here to give us some information that might be helpful in our own lives and the life of the community. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
I forgot one thing about the library. Last night, the architects gave a presentation about their design, you know, how far they've gotten with the designs. And a lot of it is really imaginative, and it's really responding to community input, because we wanted sunset and sky views, and we wanted lots of views of greenery, and we wanted more windows and more light. And they've done some pretty cool things, I think, in the children's section that, you know, we didn't know what was going to go on there. And I think they're having a good time designing it, and it feels really good now. I think they've come up with some really good interpretations of what the community wanted.
It will be lovely to have them come and do a presentation when they have things ready for us to see.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anita, for all of your efforts on behalf of everyone else. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I am going to officially close the meeting at this time and stop recording, but you are welcome to